Time blocking is something that most people do not like. I get giddy excited about this topic because I was somebody, drop a one in the comments if time blocking scares the crap out of you. It's like, I don't know what to do with it. It feels smothering. I don't think that I can get there. That was me. When I think of time blocking, and I was a teacher, I think most of you guys know that. So I lived by the little planners and everything needed to be, like done in a time block because that's the way that life was. But when it came to my personal life, I did not want to live by that because it felt suffocating to me. It felt like if I'm time blocking out my day, how is it ever going to be fun? And the reason that I do this is because I want time freedom. Like, how many of us preach that, right? It's like, work your own network marketing business, live to the level of your dreams, because then you can do anything you want. And so then when we kind of get into that mentality, sometimes it's like, but wait, now you're telling me to time block? Like, that does not add up. So I'm here to tell you, if that is your fear, I want you to dive into this, because time blocking will allow you to have so much more freedom. And I mean that because I experience it. It's going to look different for every single person. I'm going to leave you with, I've done courses on this before. I'm going to leave you with a little PDF that I have that you guys can print off at the end of it. But what I really want you guys to get out of today is the method and the thought process behind what's holding you back. Because I can get on here today, and you've probably done this. How many of you have already printed out the fancy little calendars and you're like, I'm going to time block. I'm so excited about this. And then the next time it comes around and somebody tells you, you do what? We go and we print out another calendar. Like, oh, maybe a different pretty calendar will help me time block. And it's like, I don't know, because we get so caught up in the prep, and we're going to talk about that today, that we don't understand why we're doing it. And so then we're just going to keep failing to that bottom level, right? And I want you guys to keep rising up and know that this isn't necessarily about the time blocking right now. Like, I'm not going to give you a magic formula today, and in 30 days from now, you're going to be a diamond in the company. But what I am going to give you today, you guys are probably like, all right, I'm out, I'm done. That's why I'm here. You're not giving it to me. I'm out. But what I do want to give you today is a formula so that you know why you're time blocking, and you can really change your thought process around it. And then over the next 90 days, we're really going to dive into this and change the process, because when you can change the process and you can change your habits, you'll change your life. And that gives me goosebumps, because I know that every single one of you are capable of this. If you guys hang out with me for a hot second, I mean, Jenny knows, she's been with me in person. Like, if I can do this, y'all, anyone can do this. I promise you. I love to have fun. I love to live life out loud. If I'm with Bethany on this, I could travel every single weekend of my life, and it would make me the happiest person in the world. I wouldn't be able to do that if I did not plug in. And so now I time block every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because I know if I time block my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I can have every Thursday and Friday off. That's what I want for you guys, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, let me share my screen, and we're going to dive in. Drop any comments that you guys have in the little chat box. If you need to stop me, unmute and stop me, because I really want you guys to have a grasp of this. But the ultimate thing here is that I want you to keep going into this knowing that time management is time freedom. This is not a prison sentence. This is not something that, like, oh man, I'm going to start time management and now I have to say no to every single opportunity. What this is going to be is you coming up with a schedule and you sticking to it and you respecting yourself. I was talking to one of my best friends on the phone this morning, and we were kind of talking about over the next week. And she was like, well, I know that you do all of your calls and all of your coaching Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So I know that that's not going to work. What this has allowed me to do is that I no longer feel guilty because people think that I'm a stay-at-home mom and I work from home. They think that I have time freedom all the time. And what ends up happening is that the lines get blurred, right? When we feel like we're not respected with our time, then we feel like what we do doesn't matter. How many of you guys have ever felt like that? Because people are constantly coming to us with stuff, or our kids are constantly here. We've got other jobs. We've got other things that we have to do. When we can manage our time, we can manage our freedom. So here we go. I really want every single one of you guys to be awake to your life. I don't want you to wake up with the dread. I want you to really wake up and have the passion for knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Here's the deal. The habits that you have right now in your adult life, most of us have had them for years and years and years, right? But what happens is we go, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but we print out that pretty little planner and we think like, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow because it looks so pretty. But what this is really about is rewiring your brain. This is all about the neurons in your brain. It does not feel good for most of us to take it beyond the pretty little planner. It doesn't feel good because our brains and our neurons are it's elasticity, right? Our brains and our neurons are firing to operate in one certain way. And over the next 90 days, you really need to train your brain to think differently. The thing is that there's going to be resistance around this. How many of you guys have thought like, oh, okay, I know Jenny's doing this right now. She's right underneath me on the screen. So I'm going to use her as an example. She put in you guys' group chat the other day that she has woken up and worked out for, I don't know how long, a long time. And now she's rewiring her brain to work or to get up and use that part of her day for her most productive business time. You better bet that when she woke up on the first morning, her brain automatically was going to the workout because that's what you're trained to do. And so when we tell ourselves like, oh, I've got the pretty little planner tomorrow morning, instead of waking up at 7 when my kids wake me up, I'm going to wake up at 5. It sounds so good when we time block it out and we use the little markers. And then at 5 a.m., what happens? Well, we're tired. Because our brain hasn't been rewired to think differently. Our body hasn't been programmed to do something different. What you really have to learn for is that there's going to be resistance around this. And I want you to plan ahead for it. Because what ends up happening is we wake up at 5 a.m., we think that we've got this new time blocking done, and then there's resistance around it. And what do we automatically feel like we've done if we don't get out of bed until 5:30? We feel like we've failed. You haven't failed, you just didn't plan ahead. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up at 5, you're going to be tired. Expect it, right? When you can expect the outcome to be a little bit less than what this like hyper focused activity that we've got going on, then we're not going to be failing and we're not going to be set back in it. We're just going to have to work through the tension. Okay, so get your head around that right now. Get your heart around that right now. Over the next 90 days, there's going to be tension around this. Your brain is not going to want to do new things because our subconscious, our primitive brain is designed to keep us safe. When we try to do new things, our brain does not know if we're getting ready to jump in front of a car or get up and work out. It really does not. That's what our brain is designed to do. It wants to keep us small and safe, right? Okay, so for a little while, you're going to be existing in both worlds. You're going to be existing in the here and now world where you have these one sets of habits that's kept you where you are. And in the set of habits that not in 90 days from now is going to take you to diamond, but in 90 days from now, it's going to give you the habits that will take you to diamond if that's what your goal is. All right. Optimistic enthusiasm. That's the new phase, right? You're all there right now. You got on this call, you're listening to it back because you want to learn how to time block. And you're going to think as soon as I give you those steps in that PDF at the end, you're going to be really excited. You're going to go down through, you're going to do it all. You're going to buy all the new things. Like, y'all, I love going to Target in the little planner section and getting all the new little color coded tabs and the markers. And I love putting them all out. And then guess what I don't want to do? I don't want to write on any of it because I don't want to screw it up. It's like, I don't even let myself fail at first because I mean, how many notebooks I have in my house, and I keep them as a reminder of how far I've come because I'd write on page 1 and it wasn't perfect enough. And so then I like can't use the rest of the notebook. I got to start all over, right? We get so dang excited about all the things. And then that dopamine dump has all happened before anything else even gets started. We get so caught up in all the prep work and we get our dopamine dump there And so it feels really good to plan. But if we don't plan to fail during that 90 days, it doesn't feel good. And so what do most of us keep doing? We get on this habitual cycle of planning over and over and over again to start doing something, and we never actually do it. I want you guys to get off the hamster wheel of planning and thinking and talking about time blocking and just freaking do it, okay? That's what I want for every single one of you. I want you to get off the hamster wheel and realize that time blocking is a mindset. This is something that every single one of you can do. So yeah, are you going to have some times where you have it time blocked, where you think that you're going to be able to get something done, and then something crazy happens and one of your kids needs you, or there's an emergency? Yeah. So when that happens, what are you going to do? Do you have another time blocked out for you? Are you going to pick up the pieces and start over? Or are you going to feel like you failed and give up? Think about it ahead of time. Okay. Here's what a lot of us end up doing too. And we talked a little bit about this on Monday night. A lot of us go to the extremes, right? We're going to time block it all out. We're going to have every single thing back to back. And then things are going to run over. We don't give ourselves time to drive home from our jobs. We plan in cooking time or a dinner time, but we don't plan in the hour of prep work beforehand. And we get all of these extremes where we're like, okay, man, I love Plexus right now. I love what I'm doing. I love posting. I love stories. I'm going to do this for 6 hours a day. And we settle into the extremes. But then when we've done that for 6 hours in a day and we didn't sign anybody up, the next day, we don't really feel like doing it. And so those extremes that we go into when we'll push ourselves for 10 or 15 or sometimes even 30 days, what it leads to is burnout. And it leads to a hustle mode mentality that I do not want for any one of you, because I've been in the hustle mode. And there will be times in your business when you're pushing for a really big goal where you're going to be in hustle mode. I don't think that that's also always a bad thing. But when you're constantly in that state of extremes of thinking, okay, I'm going to message 100 people today, and tomorrow I'm going to message 100 more, those extremes will lead you to not love what you're doing. And ultimately, that fear of failure is what's keeping you from time blocking. And when you can get over the fear of failure, the time blocking piece isn't really going to be that scary. A lot of times what happens in this is that we start time blocking because we are so goal oriented. A lot of you right now are thinking, okay, I want a time block because here's where I want to be in 90 days. And you want the goal. And so even let's think of this month, there's 13 days left in this month. Okay, I'm going to time block out the next 13 days because this is going to get me to senior gold. This is going to get me to Ruby. This is going to get me to jewel status. And at the end of that 13 days, you might not have reached your goal. And so you feel like all of the time blocking stuff has failed. I don't want you to look at time blocking as a means to your goal. I want you to look at it about the process. And I want you to look at it in terms of loving who you're going to become. I guarantee you that every single time Bethany goes to the gym and Matt is training her on stuff, she's not like, oh, I love being here. But she knows that it's part of the process, that she's loving who she's becoming and how hard she's working for that. Even if the goal isn't going to happen tomorrow, because now she's established the habits that have helped her reach her goals. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I really want you guys to love the process and realize that time blocking is going to be giving you something, not taking away from you. And I'm going to tell you a couple little tweaks and habits and games that I play with myself on time blocking that really make me love time blocking. Okay. The first 90 days, it really is, it's meant to be a process that's going to wake you up. It's going to wake you up to the things that you're doing in the here and now. How many of us are like, I'm so busy. I don't have time to do one more thing. And if I try to fit in one more thing, I'm going to crack under the pressure. What really is happening right now is that we're making ourselves busy and seem busier than we need to be because we're avoiding the work, because the work's right now for us, for a lot of us, means failure at something. It means that we're not achieving something. It means that we're not getting where we want to be. And so it's so counterproductive, right? Because instead of diving in, we just stay stuck. But then we haven't really failed at it because we haven't really attempted it. We don't want you guys, and this goes back to that muscle memory part. When your goals aren't reached at the end of this 90 days, and maybe they will be, it depends on what your goal is. But if your goals aren't reached at the end of this 90 days, when we really want you to dive in and do this time blocking, it's not about you failing. It's about you getting the process down that's going to lead to the next year of your life that is going to uncover so many things for you. And you're going to see so many areas of your life that you have been using as an excuse. Yes, kids are busy. I know. When I started this business, my kids were 2, 3, and 5. My husband was never home, and I was working 2 jobs outside of Plexus. So now when people come to me and they're like, oh, time blocking, that works really great for you because you're home all day and all 3 of your kids are in school. Yeah, now it does work really great for me. But this is something that I had to do even more so before I reached this level of where I'm at right now. And it's something that I still have to do right now. Because if I don't, my brain wants to go to, let's just have all the fun all the time and not do any of the things. And I can get caught up in that really, really easy. In fact, I messaged Bethany on Monday and I was like, okay, I took a week off for the fair and did very minimal work because that's why I do this. I want to be plugged in with my kids. And guess what? Now I don't want to do anything. I want to go travel again. I have to really train my brain to get back into the process and get back into the planning piece of this. Okay. This is the PDF that I'm going to give to you guys. I'm going to open this up at the end, trying to keep this to under 30 minutes. So I'm going to jump through this real quick because I want to open it up at the end for 5 minutes of just questions to really get the application piece of this for you. But just a couple of top tips for this. I know that you've probably heard this before, but what I really want you to start asking yourself is, do I not have time for this? Or is it really not that important to me? Get really curious around what you're avoiding and why you're avoiding it. Because there are parts of your business that are going to suck, guys. They will. There are parts of my business that I don't love doing. But guess what? I have to do them. And so I do them in a specific time block now, because I know that if I can do my hard 30, if I can get those things that for me personally, I don't super love, if I can get them out of the way in the morning, I feel so much more accomplished all day. And if you go and you do the hard things first, the rest of your day, y'all, you're going to feel like you are on top of the world because the rest of it's going to be easy. But most of us save those hard things for the end of the day when we're tapped out, we're tired, and we have no more bandwidth left. And then we go to bed thinking about all the things that we didn't do instead of the things that we did do and that we did accomplish. There will be times in your day that you don't get everything done. That's part of it. And then I use those things on the weekend. I time block some time out, usually on Sundays, to just sit down and reassess and go through it again. This is something that I pretty much do almost every single Sunday, is I go through and I time block out the next week. Okay, some top tips for this. And this whole worksheet is going to help you identify these things. Over the next couple of days, I want you to find your peak productivity time. Some people will say that their peak productivity time is at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know if I believe that. I lived with a girl, one of my best friends in college. She wrote all of her papers at like midnight. But I really learned, especially now knowing her as an adult, she's just a really good procrastinator. And so she has to do it. But now in her job, she's had to do things in the morning, and she's learned, like, my peak productivity time was not 10 or 11 o'clock at night. It's at 6 o'clock in the morning. So know your peak productivity time. And the reason I'm telling you this is that's when you want to do your most important work, right? You don't want to do your most important work when you have no more bandwidth left. Morning schedules and evening schedules, really important. You might have to do some things that are not going to make people around you very happy. My husband was not very happy when I took our TV out of our bedroom because he liked to watch TV at night, And I cannot have sound before I go to bed at night. It makes me super anxious. I can't watch, I just can't do it. That evening schedule was super important to me because my morning schedule is super important to me. And there was compromise. We have like 4 other TVs in the house. He can watch it literally anywhere else. So he was okay with it afterwards. But there is going to have to be some routine in your day. Same thing in the morning, same thing in the evening. Your body needs that. This sheet is going to help you take an honest account of where your time is being spent. My team, you've heard me say this over and over and over again. If you don't know where you're at right now, you cannot get where you want to be. And what I mean by that with time is if you're spending 6 hours every day scrolling through reels, and right now in your mind, you're thinking, I just don't have any extra time, but you take an honest account of where you're at and what you're doing, you'll find the time that you can work your business. It feels busy and overwhelming right now because your brain is trained to think that. Once you take that honest account of where you're at and what the nooks and crannies of your day really are like, you will find that you have the time. You're just filling it with other things that feels really comfortable right now. You're going to have to learn to say no. A lot of people in this industry, we do it because we love people, right? We love to be able to help other people. Saying no is a complete sentence. It does not have to come with an explanation. If it is not doing something to get you further than where you want to be or get you further to where you want to be, say no to it. It's not selfish. And that's why for me, it's really important now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know those are my days. I do my coaching calls. I prep for the week. I have all of the things that I need to get done basically during those first like 8 hours. And then I can say yes to all the things on Thursday and Friday. Somebody asks me to do something on a Monday. I just say, no, I can't. Those are my office hours. But if you want to do it on Thursday or Friday, I design it so that I have Thursday and Friday open. Here's the deal, y'all. If this was an office job, people would not be asking you. And if you are like me and you get caught up in the people asking you to do all of the things all the time, set aside the time to say no and block out those distractions. Okay. We've talked about doing your hard 30. One thing that I do want to tell you guys, multitasking is a badge of honor that no one should wear. Okay. Multitasking, having all, especially as women, we get 9,000 tabs. How many of you guys feel like that right now? Like you're listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth, but you're also like, oh, I need to pick up this person. I've got to have ride to soccer at 5:30. There's a load of laundry. I still need to make lunch. We're going to do corn this afternoon. Like you've got all these tabs open. It's not getting you anywhere. Learn to focus in on just a tab at a time and close out the rest. That's what time blocking will allow you to do. Okay, I want to show this to you, and then I'm going to just scroll down through the rest of it to kind of show you guys what it is. But here's what I want you to remember. When you think that it's just 5 minutes a day, y'all, 5 minutes per day is an extra 30 hours per year. 30 hours. How could you grow yourself, your business, your future in 30 hours? 30 minutes a day, y'all have 30 minutes a day. That's an extra 182 hours per year. Look at this chart and see, where do you have the nooks and crannies in your day? You're going to find a few of them. Can you imagine right now, if you spent an extra 30 minutes in the morning with personal development, where those 1% habit increases would get you at the end of the year? And then at lunchtime, you spent 30 minutes really intentionally reaching out and messaging people and loving on them. Where would that get you? And then you spent an hour at night in your back office and growing your business. Y'all, that time matters and it adds up. So next time you look at a clock and you're like, oh, I only have 5 minutes in between activities, that's 5 minutes that can change your life. You are always one conversation and one action away from a completely different business. You just don't know when that one conversation is going to happen. What if it's in that 5 minutes that you didn't want to take? Okay. This sheet, and you can message me, anyone, anytime. You can comment on it when I get this up. Some of you guys have seen this, but it's going to go through questions and ask you. And I want you to be really honest, and I want you to brain dump it all. What are your thoughts and feelings about brain dumping? What are you spending your time on right now? And I also want you to know that it is not selfish to know what you enjoy most in your day and what you're avoiding in your day. And here's the little game that I play with myself. The rest of this is kind of, you're going to go through, you're going to do a beginning assessment. Like, I want you to know where you're starting now and where you're going, and time block that in. Like, what does an average day look like for you? I want you to brain dump stuff. What are the things that I love doing? What are the things that I avoid doing? Because when you can get clear around that, you can time block different things into your schedule based on that. And we can talk more about this, but this whole sheet is there for you. It's going to go through every single thing for you. There's even videos that I'll upload so that if you want to dive into this more, you can. Here's one thing that I love doing with my time blocking. I put all of my fun things in first, every single one of them. I have some standing things, like Ange is on here. I meet with her every single Monday at 10:30. That's something that's automatically going to go in there. But for me, I do this because I want the flexibility and the time freedom to take my kids everywhere. I want to be present for them. And I can cry thinking about this because, y'all, I would have missed so many moments with them if I was still in the classroom. I see so many of my friends having to tell their kids no, and it's not a bad life for them. But I see them telling their kids no to so many things because they don't have the time to let them do it. Rye right now has practice every single morning from 7 to 8. Colton had practice today from 9:30 to 10:30. We have another practice tonight at 5:30. You better bet that those are the things in my world that get scheduled in first, because that is most important to me. Date nights with my husband every Wednesday night during the school year, because the kids are at church. I don't schedule anything. And my team will tell you they cannot get a hold of me on Wednesday night because that's my husband's time. I schedule those things in first because that's why I do this. And then I play a game with myself. I know that if I don't get stuff done Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, those fun things that I have planned for Thursday and Friday will not happen, because now I have to go back and make it up. Fun Friday, like my husband and I want to be able to take Fridays and just be able to go and do stuff now. That will not happen if I don't get things done Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Going to the Little League World Series with my kids on Friday won't happen if I don't plug in Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Play those games with yourself. What are you working for? Because then I promise you, you will start the time blocking. And you will realize that, y'all, my time blocking now, it doesn't involve colored pencils. It doesn't involve all the pretty little things that I thought that I needed, because it's become so systematic for me. I have a little Google Calendar so that anywhere that I go, I can pull it up on my phone. I have one that's just Plexus. I have one that's my kids. I have them integrated together, because then anywhere I'm at, if somebody messages me, I can plug it in and I could tell them right then, nope, I can't do this. Yes, I can do this. No, we don't have time for that right now, but maybe next Thursday. What does that look like for you? Time blocking will allow you more freedom than you ever thought possible. And I want that for you, because it's there. It's there for every single person. Okay, I know it's 12:30. I will get that stuff uploaded, and then you can work through it. You can work through kind of the steps of it, and then you can design your perfect day. Your perfect day is going to look very different than my perfect day. And that's the beauty of this. It's yours. You get to put in what the things are that light you up and what you're really working for. Okay, any questions before we hop off? I'm going to open up the chat too. Does anybody have any questions about what this looks like? Nikki, I love that you put that in there, that for you right now, 10 o'clock is yours, because that's when, and you have two very little kids that need you right now. And it was like that for me too. When I wanted to go to sleep at first, I didn't. I stayed up and I plugged into Moments because that's what I had. And that gives you hopefully the vision and the foresight that if I'm doing this for an hour now, then I will be able to eventually pay somebody maybe to come over and watch my kids for an hour so that I can do that hour during the day, right? Have those goals in mind for you. What does that look like? Do I need an extra $100 a month so that I can have somebody come and help me? Have the immediate goals and then have the long-term goals, because guys, it will make you plug in. Bethany, I love that you put that. If you guys struggle, and Liz, if you struggle with saying no, there is a book that's called The Best Yes. And it really is all about that. If you guys haven't read that one, that book changed how I think, because I am a chronic say yes to everything. And then I got home one day and I was complaining about something that I had said yes to. And my husband was like, why did you say yes? And I was like, well, I have to. He's like, nope, you don't. And it really started the wheels turning and thinking, like, how many of us say yes without even thinking about it? And when we say yes to something that we don't want to do, we're saying no to something that we do want to do, because we really do. We have 24 hours in a day. But that doesn't mean that there's just this excess of time floating around. It means that we have to fill it with the things that we love. And that's not selfish. Yes, there are still going to be some things that you do in your day that you don't love, right? Like that's just part of being a good human. But you really can design a life that you love, and it's not selfish to do it. Baker, I love that you're reading that now. Any questions, or Bethany, anything you want to add? It was that good. You guys are all speechless.
I will say I did just start reading this book, Shopping for Time. A lot of the jewels I saw were reading it. It's less than 100 pages and it has been so good so far. But just talking about how, like, when we go shopping, yeah, Seabrie's got it too. How we budget for things and using that same mentality with our time and making the most of our time. So far, it's been really good. So,
yeah. All right, I will get this uploaded. I'll get it uploaded with the PDF too, and then some of the videos that go along with it to really walk you through. They're like 3 or 4 minutes that I made for a course one time. So I'll get that stuff uploaded if this is something that you guys really, really want to dive into. The mechanics behind it are not difficult, right? The mechanics behind it aren't difficult. It's the thought process that you have right now that's holding you back. And so if you sit down and you feel resistance around this, I think this with anything in life, especially in your businesses, if you sit down and you feel resistance to it, instead of just being like, oh, it's fine, I'm just going to do this, because we are a fine culture, right? Everything is always good. Everything's always fine. And we don't really dive into what's blocking us and what's stopping us. So when you get and you sit down and you have resistance, get really curious around it. Why does this feel so bad to me? What am I scared of during the time blocking process? And write those things down too, because once you can really dive into them on a coaching call with me or a coaching call with Bethany, I promise you, it opens up your possibilities to so much more. And I don't know, I'm going to end with this. I know lots of jewels now that have time freedom, right? Like we can work 3 or 4 hours a day. Our kids are a little bit older, whatever that looks like. I also know lots of jewels that have very little kids, but it did not look this way for us at the beginning. It looked like the nooks and crannies. And so if you're sitting down and you're thinking, well, I need an hour here and I need 30 minutes here and I need, somebody to come and watch my kids, y'all, it does not look like that at the beginning. So don't let that be something that holds you back from thinking that you're worthy and that you're possible and capable in doing this, because it absolutely can happen for you. All right, message me if you need anything around this. If you guys need coaching calls around this, no matter whose team you're on, I love this stuff. So we can set one up. All right. Love you, ladies. Happy Wednesday.